This is Business Now, reaching live from iBrandTV News Studio in Lagos. Coming up. Federal government raises concern as mining contribution to GDP declines to 0.33%. Nigerian Customs Service sets 3 trillion naira revenue target for 2022. House of Representatives give CBN Customs 2-week ultimatum to resolve port crisis. Pension fund assets hit 13.61 trillion naira as retirement savings account holders rise to 9.55 million. Thanks for joining us. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. Now the news in detail. The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, on Thursday said Nigeria's pension fund assets rose to 13.61 trillion naira as of January 2022. This is contained in an audited report on pension funds industry portfolio for the period ended January 31, published on PENCOM's website. The Commission said that the fund assets gained 183.81 billion naira between December 31, 2021 and January 31, 2022, while the total number of retirement savings account RSA holders stood at 9.55 million as at the end of January. PENCOM noted that the fund in dollar terms was $32.77 billion, attained at the exchange rate of 415.26 per dollar. The Commission further stated that 8.35 trillion naira of the 13.61 trillion naira was invested in federal government securities, while state government securities got 170.33 billion naira, with local money market securities taking 2.28 trillion naira of the investment. The federal government has blamed the current wave of poor power supply experienced in the Federal Capital Territory and other parts of the country on low water levels in hydropower dams. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, disclosed this to State House correspondents during the weekly media briefing organized by the Presidential Communications Team at the State House Briefing Room, Abuja. According to him, the federal government is speeding up efforts on the proposed installation of 10 power transformers. This, is said, would be done in tandem with the setting up of 10 additional mobile substations to improve electric power supply nationwide. On the challenges facing these projects, he said the right-of-way issues had stalled several power projects despite available funds. He said, and I quote, "We're engaging with the state governors through the Nigerian Governors Forum to drive a holistic solution to these lingering issues." The Nigerian Customs Service has set a revenue target of 3.02 trillion naira for 2022. This was disclosed on Thursday by the Comptroller General of the NCS, Hamid Ali, while defending the 2022 budget of the agency before the Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariff. According to him, the agency is expecting 2.02 trillion naira from the Federation, 253.23 billion naira from non-Federation, and 746.96 billion naira from import value-added tax. He added that this new target is 965.42 billion naira higher than the agency's target for 2021 and 1.55 trillion naira higher than what the National Assembly set for revenue-generating agencies in 2022. Ali said the agency has a proposed budget expenditure of 369.14 billion naira for the 2022 fiscal year, which would be partially funded from the 7% cost of collection for 2022 estimated at 151.84 billion naira. The House of Representatives Joint Committee on Customs and Excise, Banking and Currency has given the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Customs Service, as well as other relevant stakeholders, 2 weeks to reconcile their differences over the electronic valuation and invoicing policy recently introduced in the import and export chain. The CBN had introduced the e-valuation and e-invoicing system in the import and export system in order to enhance revenue generation. At the investigative hearing held by the committee in Abuja on Thursday, the CBN, NCS, and the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria differed on the policy, forcing the lawmakers to ask them to meet and harmonize their differences within 2 weeks. After presentations by the invited parties, a member of the House committee, the lawmaker stated that the committee was to bring the stakeholders together to resolve the issues with the policy.
If some companies are able to negotiate better price deal due to their scale of order and are able to get competitive lower prices, will these competitive prices be within the benchmark? Clearly, this aspect of the policy will lead to several challenges on valuation down the line, including floodgates of valuation issues with the Nigerian Customs Service. We also feel that the clarification on paragraph D of the guideline, wherein the CBN directs that, I quote, the content of the electronic invoice authenticated by the authorized dealer banks is only advisory for Nigerian Customs Service, unquote. This means that the Nigerian Customs Service may vary it, probably uplift the FOB where issuing of PAR, where they are issuing, when they are issuing PAR. We consider that CBN and the Nigerian Customs Service are agencies of federal government and hence should harmonize their function in this regard.
Article 2 clearly emphasized the need for the consultation with both government and private bodies when introducing new measures regarding import and export, because failure to do signifies poor change management knowledge and will often result to resistance during implementation. Article 6 talk on discipline of fees, charges imposed on or in connection with importation and exportation, and penalty. This article emphasized the need for a time frame for the publication of any additional fees or charges. The CBN circular was dated 21st of January 2022 with an effective date of 01 February 22, which is just 10 days apart.
Central Bank of Nigeria, Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service, Manufacturers of Nigeria, and other agencies, maybe like Exporters Association. They are also crying of this e-policy that is going to affect their export. So we will make sure they are here on that day.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, said it has disbursed 368.79 billion naira to over 778,000 Nigerians, comprising 648,052 households and about 130,000 small and medium enterprises. This is as it further disclosed that a total of 4.47 million smallholder farmers who cultivated 5.2 million hectares of farmland across the country and created 12.5 million direct and indirect jobs had received 948 billion naira under the Anchor Borrowers Program, ABP. This is according to the Director Corporate Communications Department, CBN, Osita Nitsobi, at the ongoing 43rd Kaduna International Trade Fair on Thursday. Osita, who was represented by the Deputy Director, Sam Okogwe, said the bank, through its development role enshrined in the CBN Act 2007 as amended, has led policy and financing support to about 40 interventions through development finance initiatives such as the Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund, the MSME Development Fund, the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme, Non-Oil Export Stimulation Facility, the Anchor Borrowers Program, among others. Clearing agents operating at the nation's ports under the aegis of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents have disagreed with shipping companies over the payment and refund of container deposits at the ports. The agents allege that operators were losing at least 40 million naira daily in unrefunded container deposits to shipping companies. The container deposit is a refundable fee shipping companies collect from consignees to ensure empty containers are returned safely. The fee is meant to be refunded to the consignee as soon as the empty containers are returned to the shipping company. The fee ranges from 100,000 naira for a 20-feet container within Lagos and 200,000 naira for a 40-feet container. For containers going outside Lagos State, 200,000 naira is charged for a 20-feet unit, while 400,000 naira is charged for a 40-feet unit. According to some clearing agents, over 200 containers are released daily by shipping companies to consignees, claiming they were paying for the inefficiency of shipping companies. The chairman, Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents, Tinkan Island Chapter, Mohammed Mojid, accused some shipping companies of not refunding the container deposit fee to consignees even when the deadlines were met. Amidst speculations that Shell Petroleum Development Company will exit the Nigerian market, the Ministry of Interior Affairs has said Shell and Mobil are not leaving the country anytime soon. A statement by the ministry quoted the Vice President, Human Resources, Shell, Olukayode Ogunleye, as assuring the federal government that Shell, ExxonMobil were not leaving the country. Ogunleye said although most of their oil wells had been shut down due to insecurity in the Niger Delta region, the companies would remain in the country. According to the statement, quote, the Vice President, Human Resource, Shell Petroleum Development Company confirmed that Shell, ExxonMobil are not leaving Nigeria. He added that the federal government has a large share in it. Despite a very tough and trying environment around the Niger Delta region where most of the oil wells are shut down due to insecurity of lives and opportunities, they are still forging ahead to ensure equity diversification of their business, to build smaller emerging business, to assist in growing the Nigerian economy from both the deep water business to the new Nigerian natural liquefied gas, end of quote. The government of Netherlands has disclosed plans to mobilize 6 million euros worth of private investment into Nigeria's vegetable value chain to increase access to finance for farmers, traders, processors, and SMEs. The ambassador of the Netherlands to Nigeria, Harry van Dijk, who disclosed this yesterday during the launch of the Healthy Nigeria project in Abuja, said the focus of the project is to boost vegetable production for the domestic market and make it more sustainable. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, while unveiling the program, expressed concerns that Nigeria is not one of the leading tomato exporting countries, despite being rated as one of the leading producers in Africa, attributing it to low yield resulting from seed type used. He pointed out that Nigeria's various ecologies, soil and climatic conditions are suitable for production of horticultural crops, adding that the climate conditions confer an immense competitive advantage and potential to have a leading role in tomato production and trade. While explaining that Horti Nigeria is yet another opportunity to promote activities of the horticultural subsector, he said the government is looking forward to catalyzing increased productivity and exposure of 60,000 smallholder farmers in the 4 states. The Nigeria Governors Forum has decried the zero contribution of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the Federation account in recent months. Chairman NGF and Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi made this known at the Governors Forum on Natural Energy, Oil and Gas at the 5th Nigeria International Energy Summit on Thursday in Abuja. Fayemi said, and I quote, the NNPC contributed zero to the Federation account last month. This is not the first time. He noted that it was ironic that the NNPC was declaring profits and unable to meet its obligations to the Federation Account Allocation Committee. Fayemi said the governors were concerned about how to grow the industry, stressing that transparency, accountability, and governance were critical in achieving this objective. He noted that the Petroleum Industry Act was responding to some of the challenges facing the sector, though the governors had raised concerns regarding some of the provisions of the Act. The Nigerian Exchange Group PLC recorded considerable growth in revenue and profitability in 2021, with net profit rising by 22.2% to 2.3 billion naira. The defunct Nigerian Stock Exchange had in 2021 completed its demutualization process, converting from a not-for-profit member-owned mutual organization to a private public limited liability company owned by shareholders. With demutualization, NSC transitioned into a non-operating holding company, Nigerian Exchange Group, with 3 subsidiaries: Nigerian Exchange Limited, the Operating Exchange, NGX Regulation Limited, the Independent Regulatory Company, and NGX Real Estate Limited, the Real Estate Company. Key extracts of the audited report and accounts of NGX Group for the year ended December 31, 2021 showed that gross earnings grew by 13% to 6.8 billion naira in 2021 from 6.0 billion naira in 2020. Revenue rose by 14.9% from 5 billion naira in 2020 to 5.8 billion naira in 2021. The increase in revenue was driven by a 24.8% growth in listing fees, which grew to 757.4 million naira in 2021, as against 606.9 million naira in 2022. In 2020, 4.9% growth in treasury investment income and a 2.1% growth in transaction fee, which rose to 2.9 billion naira from 2.8 billion naira. Dangote Cement PLC has sustained its position as a leading contributor to Nigeria's economy with a tax charge of 173.93 billion naira for the financial year ended 31st December 2021. According to the Cement Group's audited results released on the portal of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, the tax charge represents an increase of 78.7% over 97.24 billion naira in 2020. Analysis of the cement company's financial results for the review year indicated that group sales volume stood at 29.3 metric tons, with Nigeria accounting for 18.61 metric tons, while operations in other countries did 10.86. Group revenue was 1.3 billion naira for the full year, made up of 993.34 billion naira from Nigeria, while revenue from across African plants was 397.32 billion naira, in contrast to the group revenue of 1.0 billion naira in 2020, which constituted 719.95 billion naira from Nigeria and 318.68 billion naira from other African operations. And still to come, Ukraine cancels world token airdrop. Details on more news update after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Mama, you're coming to Lagos. Banga. Baby, Mama just called me now. She's coming to see you. She asked me to tell you to make banga soup for her. And she's close to the house. Oh.
How do you expect me to prepare banga in just few minutes?
I have a solution for you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
If you no sabi cook the banga, no go enter my family.
Pali banga is used in making other exotic dishes such as banga jollof rice, banga efo riro, banga asaro or yam porridge, banga egusi, and many more. Pali banga is easy to open, no preservatives, no cholesterol, and no coloring. Approved by NAFDAC. Manufactured by Pali Agro Products Limited. Available in all leading stores and supermarkets nationwide.
Pali banga, natural palm fruit extract for tasty African cuisine.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. Found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
Welcome back. On the African scene, Kenya's exports of tea, flowers, coffee and fruits to Russia have been derailed in the wake of sanctions imposed on Moscow by Western nations after its invasion of Ukraine, hurting local smallholder farmers. The blockade of the exports, estimated at nearly 10 billion shillings annually, came after major container and shipping lines temporarily suspended cargo shipments to and from Russia in response to the sanctions. Excluding Russian banks from SWIFT, The international payment system and its central bank from international operations has made it harder for the country to pay for imports and receive cash for exports. SWIFT, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, is a secure messaging system that facilitates rapid cross-border payment, and its instructions are typically honored without question, making international trade flow smoothly. The exclusion of Russian banks from SWIFT will make it riskier and more expensive for Kenyan exporters, halting exports like spices, nuts and vegetables to Russia. And on a foreign scene, there are fears that the Russian invasion of the Ukraine and the attendant sanctions on the Kremlin's energy could send oil prices above $125 per barrel, which would almost stall economic growth and lead to rising unemployment. Russian forces launched their long-feared attack on Ukraine, and the crisis keeps getting worse at every turn. According to Russia, its first day of the Ukraine invasion had achieved all its goals, with Russian forces managing to destroy 83 land-based Ukrainian targets. On the other hand, official sources have reported 203 attacks by Russia on its western neighbor on the first day. Predictably, crude oil and gas prices are surging as Russia strikes major cities in Ukraine, hitting levels not seen since 2014. In the meantime, Ukrainian Vice Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov has announced that the country has decided to cancel the airdrop for crypto donors and plans to raise more money through the sale of non-fungible tokens instead. He stated in a tweet, and I quote, "After careful consideration, we decided to cancel airdrop. Every day, there are more and more people willing to help Ukraine to fight back the aggression. Instead, we will announce NFTs to support Ukrainian armed forces soon. We do not have any plans to issue any fungible tokens." End of quote. Many analysts are attributing the reason for the cancellation of the airdrop to a fake account that created 7 billion Peace World tokens, making it seem like it was the official airdrop token for crypto donors. The fake airdrop began almost an hour before the officially announced time, but was flagged immediately by Etherscan. Deutsche Bank provided an update on Friday on its exposure in Russia and Ukraine, saying that about 700 million euros or $771 million in outstanding loans were affected by new sanctions on Russian specific entities and individuals by Europe and the United States. In a statement composed of bullet points and pictures, it did not specify where those 700 million euros are. It said it has 5.3 billion euros in loans to Russian borrowers, representing 0.9% of its total group loan book. In Ukraine, it said it had 500 million in loans, representing 0.1% of its loan book. The bank said it has wholesale banking operations in Russia with around 400 employees and has around 100 employees in Ukraine, it said previously. And now we'll go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll link up with Michael Nath for more news updates. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Oh boy, winning you was so easy.
I just couldn't stand those your powerful shots. That's what happened.
Really? Let's go to my place for dinner.
This fufu is so nice.
It's through unripe plantain flour.
True unripe plantain flour is delicious.
Yes, true unripe plantain flour is what I serve my husband for swallows. It's easy to prepare, fortified with vitamin A, low in sugar and cholesterol, rich in fiber that helps the heart, builds and strengthens the bone, and his energy level is boosted.
Through unripe plantain flour, no additives, 100% natural, a product of Pali Agro Products Nigeria. Through unripe plantain flour, available in all leading stores nationwide.
True unripe plantain flour is 100% natural flour gotten from the processing of unripe plantain. It contains no addictive and has a net content of 500 grams. True unripe plantain flour contains vitamin A, B6 and C. It is gluten-free and rich in calcium. Consuming through unripe plantain flour helps to build and strengthen stronger bones and can be a great meal for diabetic patients. It decreases your chances of constipation as it has a high fiber content and provides you with a low-fat diet. Here are some steps to prepare your through unripe plantain flour. Firstly, mix through unripe plantain flour with hot water in a pot and gradually add water till you achieve desired thickness. Place over medium heat and turn very well for 4 to 5 minutes to get the right texture. Mold into a ball and place in a bowl and allow to cool. Serve with your choice of soup. Through unripe plantain flour can be eaten with any variety of soup, be it your ofe oha, ofe onugbu, begiri, ewedu, or your miyan kuka. To get your through unripe plantain flour, contact us at 12 Olowera Isheri Road by First Welder bus stop off Omole Phase 2, Olowera, Lagos, Nigeria, or call 070-6663-8213 or 081-6397-4447. Distributors are needed nation.
Thanks, Perpetua. Now, the first batch of Nigerian evacuees from Ukraine has arrived in Abuja. This according to an update by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission on its Twitter handle. The passengers, numbering about 450 from Romania, landed at the private jet terminal of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Friday at 7 a.m. via a MAX Air flight. They are mostly students who fled Ukraine to Romania following Russia's invasion of the Eastern European country. They were received by the government officials and expected to undergo documentation, after which they will head home and self-isolate in line with the COVID-19 protocols. The federal government said that they will be given some money to enable them get to their destinations. Friday's flight, which was built to arrive a day earlier, was delayed as the federal government cited a hitch in preparing passengers for the check-in process. Aside from Romania, the pickup flights will evacuate Nigerians from Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. Officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had earlier said about 5,000 Nigerians are eligible for evacuation from the warring region. Other flights are expected to arrive in the country the coming days as nations battle to evacuate their citizens. Now, Defense Minister, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, has disclosed that the federal government is committed to building a strong armed forces. He gave the assurance during the Armed Forces Special Day at the ongoing 43rd Kaduna International Trade Fair. Magashi, represented by his Special Advisor Technical, Major General Ahmad Jibrin, also reiterated the federal government's resolve to continue to provide adequate logistics and equipment for the armed forces to perform their assigned tasks. He said the global events of the last few days have reinforced the need to improve local production of defense needs, improving security of supply chains, and entering into international collaborations that will ensure transfer of technology. The minister said the ongoing efforts by the federal government to establish a military-industrial complex is a pointer towards the current administration's drive to improve self-sustainability in the armed forces. Also speaking, the president of Kaduna Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Alhaji Suleiman Aliyu, praised the efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari in building a strong military. He said we introduced their country's reliance of foreign suppliers who are often prone to blackmail, as witnessed with their fight against Boko Haram. He expressed delight with the quality of military hardware that are being produced locally by DCON in collaboration with other partners. This goal will be achieved. Now, the federal government has commenced moves to extradite the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, to the United States of America to face fraud allegations there. A few hours after the extradition process commenced, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, which currently has Kyari in its custody following his arrest for alleged illicit drug dealing, also initiated a court process against him. By this development, Kyari, four of his colleagues in the Inspector General of Police Special Intelligence Response Team, and two others will be arraigned in a moment on drug-related charges. NDLEA filed an 8-count criminal charge against the defendants of the Federal High Court in Abuja. The implication of the NDLEA court action against Kyari is that he cannot be extradited to the U.S., even though the federal government has commenced the extradition process. Section 3F of the Extradition Act says, quote, "A fugitive criminal, A, who has been charged with an offense under the law of Nigeria or any part thereof, not being the offense for which his surrender is sought, or B, who is serving a sentence imposed in respect of any such offense by a court in Nigeria, shall not be surrendered until such a time as he has been discharged, whether by acquittal or on expiration of his sentence or otherwise." End of quote. Now, Kyari, once celebrated officer of the Nigeria Police, is currently enmeshed in various criminal allegations in connection with cases for which the super cop had previously won accolades fighting. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, explained that, having regard to all the circumstances in which the offense was committed, it would not be unjust or oppressive or too severe a punishment to extradite him. He noted that there was no criminal proceeding pending against Kyari in Nigeria for the same offense. In reaction to the decision of the federal lawmakers who turned down the proposal of a 35% affirmative action for women in political parties administration in the proposed amendments to the 1999 Constitution, the Nigerian First Lady, Aisha Buhari, has urged the National Assembly to reconsider the bill. Aisha, in the statement titled Our National Assembly on the Quest for Affirmative Action, asked the House to revise and reconsider reversing the conclusions so that no group, especially mothers, wives, daughters, and partners who are women, would not suffer discrimination or be denied any opportunity to contribute to the process of nation building. The statement further said the recent decision by the Assembly to ignore the long-standing clamor for affirmative action for Nigerian women was contrary to the very high expectations of forward-looking Nigerian men and women. The Nigerian First Lady thanked relevant UN agencies, local and international non-governmental organizations, faith-based groups, and all other stakeholders and individuals for their charitable support and fair representation by women in legislative houses, public governance, and management of political parties. Now, the Minister of Labour, Employment and Productivity, Chris Ngige, has said that the federal government does not have the funds to meet its obligations in the agreement signed with the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Ngige said the government was considering a renegotiation of the terms of the agreement with ASU in the efforts to end the ongoing strike by the university lecturers. Regarding the issue of earned academic allowances, the minister disclosed that NUC has to go back to the old template used in working out the 2021 earned academic allowance, which is a 10.8% of personnel cost, while on the issue of revitalization of the universities, he said, quote, the amount is not very clear what has been paid. He said the actual amount paid is being determined, end of quote. Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Education has constituted another committee to renegotiate the 2009 agreement with ASU. Announcing the reconstitution of the renegotiation team, the Minister of Education, Adamu, in a statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, the Minister of Education, Ben Gung, emphasized the need to speedily bring to conclusion the outstanding issues in the 2009 agreement. Now, the federal government has blamed the current wave of poor power supply experienced in the Federal Capital Territory and other parts of the country on low water levels in hydropower dams. The Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, disclosed this to State House correspondent during the weekly meeting briefing organized by the Presidential Communications team at the State House briefing room, Abuja. Aliyu also revealed that the government was working to optimize gas supply to ensure stable power. According to him, the federal government is speeding up efforts Now, the federal government is speeding up efforts on the proposed installation of 10 power transformers. This will be done in tandem with the setting up of 10 additional mobile substations to improve electric power supply nationwide. The minister lamented the effects of the activities of meter racketeers on the national metering program, saying the metering gaps were being breached by the rollout of 1 million meters. He said 1 million meters would cater for the first phase of the exercise, while the federal government awaits the supply of 4 million more for phase 2. Now, the minister warned distribution companies who sell meters to Nigerians to retrace their steps, as the meters are supposed to be free. Giving updates about the 700 megawatts Zungeru hydroelectric power station in Niger. He said although the project is 90% complete, it was stalled due to rising insecurity in the northwest, which led to workers not showing up on site. According to the federal government, the project would be the second largest hydroelectric power station in the country after 760 megawatts. The Kainji hydroelectric project was due for commissioning in December 2021. Aliyu explained that the project site came under attack on January the 4th, 2022, leaving several security guards dead and 2 Chinese nationals kidnapped. Now, on federal government's metering policy, the minister maintained that the meters are provided free of charge. We have said this time without numbers that these meters are free. So he said, adding that they are not instruments for generating money. How can we now be selling the meters? He also disclosed that federal government has secured and was deploying $4 billion in investments in the grid to boost power supply. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has highlighted sectors that are critical to actualizing the federal government's 2021-2025 National Development Plan, noting that these sectors require urgent intervention by economic managers. The Commandant General NSCDC, Ahmed Abubakar Audu, explained that the urgent need for all hands to be on deck to intervene in the social sector, which deals with poverty and its eradication, as well as environmental and gender issues, stressing that the social sector is a critical driver for achieving an all-inclusive economic development. Audu, who was represented by the Assistant Commandant General in charge of Zone A, Lagos State Command, NSCDC, Solomon Adesukbo, at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry 2022 Security Meets Business Dialogue Series in Lagos, that the manufacturing industry, which he described as the productive sector, must be active and fully protected from unfair competitors and aggression of outlaws and enemies of the state, maintaining that the sector is vital to creating job opportunities for the nation's teeming youth. Earlier, the president, LCCI, Asiwaju Olawale Cole, said in the 2022 federal government budget, the defense and security sector was allocated 2.29 trillion naira, 13.4% of the total budget for the military, police, intelligence, and paramilitary for both the recurrent and capital expenditures, saying in 2021, defense alone was allocated 840.56 billion naira, far more than any other sector. Now, Nigeria and the United States have partnered on creating equality and inclusion of persons living with disabilities into the workforce through the Reciprocal Exchange Program. The Inclusion Works project took place on the 3rd of March 2022 at the Barack Obama American Corner, Victoria Island, Lagos State. The program kicked off with a welcome speech by Ms. Jennifer Folds, the Deputy Public Officer of the United States Consulate, Lagos. Ms. Jennifer said the Reciprocal Exchange Program is an initiative to implement hybrid projects to continue the collaborative work with Mandela Washington Fellowship alumni on the continent. She commended the organizers of the program for their efforts to reduce barriers of the employment of persons with disabilities through a program like this. Launched in 2014, the Mandela Washington Fellowship is the flagship program of the Young African Leaders Initiative. The program empowers and fosters closer relations among young African leaders through academic coursework, leadership training, mentoring, networking, professional opportunities, and local community engagement. The Reciprocal Exchange component provides U.S. citizens with the opportunity to build upon strategic partnerships and professional connections developed during the fellowship. Now, the Zamfara State Police Command has denied stories making the round over alleged extortion and misconduct by some of its men at different filling stations across the state. The chairman of Zamfara State Task Force on Security, Abubakar Dauran, at a press conference a few days ago, had accused some police personnel of extorting motorists and filling station managers in the name of enforcing security in filling stations due to the ongoing fuel scarcity. In a press statement signed by the command's public relations officer, Superintendent Mohammed Shehu, the command disclosed it has not received any complaint regarding the allegations and describes the claim as not only defamatory and misleading, but false, malicious, and also an attempt to discredit the police as well as to sabotage the relentless efforts the state government is trying to do to restore peace. The Zamfara Police Command challenged the task force chairman to prove any of its allegations, as it is ready to deal with any officer found guilty. The police adds that Abubakar Dauran, like any other citizen, has a responsibility to observe and report any police misconduct to the appropriate authorities for disciplinary action. Now, Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo Igboho has begun a fresh negotiation with the Benin Republic government over his health status, his lawyer said, and the lawyer Yomi Aliyu said Igboho is negotiating to be moved to another detention facility over his health status. This was contained in a statement titled Purported Release of Sunday Igboho and issued by the lawyer on Thursday. Aliyu added that reports of Igboho fleeing to Germany should be disregarded as it was untrue. Aliyu earlier announced that the Benin Republic renewed Igboho's incarceration despite no criminal charge against him and no extradition request from the Nigerian government. Meanwhile, some days ago, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abaka Malami, spoke about Igboho, stating that the agitator may be subjected to Nigeria's criminal justice system upon the conclusion of his incarceration by the government of the Republic of Benin. Igboho was arrested alongside his wife in Cotonou, Benin Republic, by security operatives in the West African country on July 19, 2021, after fleeing Nigeria to evade arrest by Nigeria's security police. The DSS had declared Igboho wanted after its operatives carried out a bloody raid on his residence in the Soka area of Ibadan, your state, killing 2 people and arresting 12 aides, but Igboho escaped. However, Igboho's wife has since been released from police custody, while Igboho remains in detention in the West African country. Now, 3 medical doctors have died of Lassa fever in Oyo State. 2 of them, doctors, were said to have died within 72 hours as the state grapples with an outbreak of Lassa fever. The NMA chairman, Dr. Ayotunde Fashula, who confirmed the deaths yesterday, said, quote, "The NMA announces with deepest regret and sorrow the demise of 3 of her members from Lassa fever. It is indeed a sad week, and our eyes are still soaked in tears." Still quoting, "While we thought that COVID-19 had done its worst, we are now dealing with another onslaught of a Lassa fever outbreak. Furthermore, we are worried about other health workers who have had contact with the deceased unknowingly. We have advised them to quarantine and report if they develop any symptoms of viral hemorrhagic fever." End of quote. Now, the Oyo State government said resources had been deployed to tackle the outbreak. We'll take a commercial break at this juncture and come up with African news afterwards. Stay with us. Welcome back. Moroccan journalist and right activist Omar Radi has been sentenced on appeal to 6 years in prison on espionage on rape charges. Radi, a 35-year-old freelance journalist known as a vocal critic of the authorities, has insisted on his innocence throughout his 2-year-long trial. Accused of undermining state security with foreign financing and of rape, Radi was initially sentenced last July. His trial began in 2020, just days after human rights group Amnesty International said Moroccan authorities had planted a Pegasus spyware on his cell phone, a claim denied by Morocco. Radi's arrest and detention was protested by rights activists, intellectuals and politicians, both inside the country and abroad. Earlier this week, the prosecution had called for the maximum sentence against him. Rape is punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment. After the original sentence was upheld, defense lawyer Maloud Kandale called it a very hard judgment. In the same case, fellow journalist Imadu Stitu was sentenced to 1 year in prison. Stitu, who was initially presented as the sole witness for the prosecution, was said to have been present with Radi when he allegedly raped a woman. Now, Stitu left Morocco for Tunisia and was tried in absentia. Now, Radi's is the latest in a series of harsh sentences passed against journalists in the North African Kingdom and in neighboring Algeria. Authorities in both countries have detained and tried journalists on charges ranging from harming national interests to sexual assaults. Morocco is currently ranked 136th out of 180 countries on watchdog RSF's World Press Freedom Index. Foreign news now. Russian forces seized the largest nuclear power plant in Europe after a building at the complex was set ablaze during intense fighting with Ukrainian defenders, Ukrainian authorities said on Friday. Fears of a potential nuclear disaster at the Zaporizhzhia plant had spread alarm across world capitals before authorities said the fire in a building identified as a training center had been extinguished. U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm said there was no indication of elevated radiation levels at the plant, which provides more than a fifth of Ukraine's total electricity generation. An official at the state enterprise that runs Ukraine's 4 nuclear plants said there was no further fighting. The fire was out and Zaporizhzhia was operating normally. Earlier, a video from the plant verified by Reuters showed one building aflame and a volley of incoming shells. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian tanks had shot at the nuclear reactor plants, though there was no evidence cited that they had been hit. The mayor of the nearly town of Energoda, about 550 kilograms southeast of Kiev, said fierce fighting and continuous enemy shelling had caused casualties in the area without providing details. Thousands of people are believed to have been killed or wounded, and more than 1 million refugees have fled Ukraine since February 24, when Russian President Vladimir Putin launched the biggest attack on a European state since World War II. Russia had already captured the defunct Chernobyl plant north of Kiev, which spewed radioactive waste over much of Europe when it melted down in 1986. The Zaporizhzhia plant is a different and safer type, analysts said. Earlier, U.S. President Joe Biden and U.K. Prime Minister Boris Johnson both spoke with Zelensky to get an update on the situation at the plant. Coming up right after this commercial break is entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum. Spotify said on Wednesday it has closed this office in Russia indefinitely in response to what the audio streaming platform described as Moscow's unprovoked attack on Ukraine. Since July 2021, Russian legislation signed by President Vladimir Putin has obliged foreign social media companies with more than 500,000 daily users to open local offices or be subject to restrictions as severe as outright bans. Moving on, Sony Pictures Television is acquiring a majority stake in Industrial Media, a major supplier of popular reality TV series to TV networks and streaming platforms. The Culver City-based TV entertainment arm of Tokyo electronics giant Sony Corp announced the deal on Thursday. The size of the stake and the price were not disclosed, but the company said that the deal values Industrial Media at $350 million. The acquisition is the second major transaction for Sony Pictures Entertainment in recent months. It bought anime streaming service Crunchyroll from AT&T for $1.175 billion in August and recently merged it with Funimation, its own service that specializes in the genre. Industry media will expand Sony Pictures Television's programming portfolio and expand on its strategy of being a major supplier of content to media companies which are investing heavily in building their own streaming services. And that's it on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanu.
Coming up next, sport news.
On sports business at this hour, Netflix has reportedly offered to acquire Next Games, the developer behind Strange Things, Puzzle Tales, and 2 Walking Dead mobile games for around $72 million. The proposed deal, which expands the streaming giant's push into gaming, is expected to close in the second quarter of the year. Netflix has already expressed interest in live sports too, particularly Formula One. Netflix began offering its first mobile games to subscribers in November, including Stranger Things 1984 and Shooting Hoops. The same month, Netflix licensed the 2016 game Asphalt Extreme exclusively for subscribers. Next Games reported $30.1 million in 2020 revenue. 95% of the revenue came from in-game purchases. And still talking business in the world of esports and gaming, Amazon has launched its Luna cloud gaming service, allowing US customers to access more than 100 gaming titles on devices that include PCs, iPhones, and Fire TVs. Powered by Amazon Web Services, Luna offers free games but also provides users with access to more titles by subscribing to channels that range between $4.99 and $17.99 per month. Users can play games using their iPhone or Android devices as controllers. The service also allows users to broadcast gameplay on live streaming platform Twitch. Amazon generated $137.4 billion in revenue in the fourth quarter of 2021, a 9% increase year over year, but missed analysts' estimates of $137.6 billion for the quarter. The tech giant saw its net income reach $14.3 billion in the fourth quarter compared to $7.2 billion for the same period the year before. And finally, on sports business at this hour, in the world of tennis, the Women's Tennis Association, WTA, has agreed a multi-year title sponsorship deal with Ologic, a medical device and diagnostics company, which the tour's president, Mickey Lawler, claims is probably the biggest in women's sports. It is the first major sports sponsorship for Ologic, a brand focused on women's health, and Senior Vice President for Global Human Resources and Corporate Communications, Lisa Hellman, revealed that the WTA's approach to handling the Peng Shuai affair in China was a factor in securing the deal. No financial details have been made public regarding the partnership, but the WTA described it as the largest sponsorship in its history. The deal is worth significantly more per year than the WTA's previous title sponsorship with technology hardware brand Sony Ericsson. That agreement, which ended in 2010, was worth an average of $14.7 million annually over its 6-year duration. And that's it on sports business. I'm Samson Oloide.
And that wraps up iBrand News Now from Lagos. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael Nath.